Peace, Stars. Welcome to another episode of the DIEHARD Knick podcast. It's your boy, Evil the Any Star. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, we got Greg Armstrong, super fan of the New York Knicks. He's a 28-year season ticket holder. So I'm privileged to have him on the show, man. We're going to talk about this whole experience and stuff like that. But, before we get started, let's do it right. DIEHARD Knicks podcast, Evil the Any Star. Let's just get busy. So I'll just bring him right in, man. How's everything going on, Mr. Greg?
Hey, what's going on, Ero? How you doing, man? I'm good. Can't complain. Tough loss last night, but really felt good to get back in the building.
I know, man. There's been a lot of tough losses throughout the years, man. The last 20 or so, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been since about 2000. It's been tough. We had the one little renaissance there in 12-13. Woodson's team, which was good, But other than that, for the most part, it's been a rough go since 2000.
Yeah, I know, man. That's like basically the whole majority of your season ticket fandom, man. But we'll get into that, man. But I just want to let everybody know you're just a nice guy, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like for everyone that meets you, you know what I'm saying? You have a great smile, of course, whatever. But just I got a chance to meet you at the season opener last season. So we'll talk about that in a second, man. But even this to get to this conversation, I sent you like a little link and stuff, but I didn't realize how late I sent it. And
Yeah,
then the conversation got a little confusing. But then, like, it came down to it. You was willing to actually do the podcast at the freaking opening night. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know what you wanted. I was just willing to, do whatever I could for the fans. I mean, that's what it's all about. We are Nick fans, and I appreciate all the content that you give all the fans. So, any way I could help out, definitely wanted to try to help.
yeah, I appreciate you, man. But I mean, it can't be like understated that you was willing to give me some time during the first, the first time the fans could come into the garden since COVID hit, and you're willing to give me time to do a podcast. That's incredible, man.
Hey, no problem, man. I'm here to help.
Yeah, I got you. But I first met you at the season opener last year, man. Do you remember that? I gave you a little tidbit. It was against Boston.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a tough game there. I remember, Fizdale. He was coaching the team then, and the first half we was actually competing pretty well, and then in the second half the wheels fell off and we got blown out really bad. And if I can remember, Julius Randle, he had a really tough turnover there toward the end of the game. He did one of his patented spin moves and
Yeah.
got stripped, and it got ugly from there. The fans were really chanting for Frank because Frank had really done well in the preseason, and then all of a sudden he got blindsided, and he really didn't get no playing time. So that was like a little bit of a shock to the fan base.
Yeah, definitely, man. That spin move that he used to do, man, was like a backhanded spin move. I just don't understand where he was coming from with that. But the evolution of Julius Randle this year has been incredible, right? He's just like a totally different player.
Absolutely, we got to give him credit. He went home over the summer and did a lot of work. During the pandemic, he had extra time to really put the work in. And to his credit, he got a lot of criticism last year, and he didn't let that, deter him. He wanted to come back to New York this year and show the people that that's not who he was. So the fact that he got the All-Star nomination yesterday is confirmation that he really, he did his thing. So we gotta really appreciate him. I know New York is a tough town, and New York ain't for everybody. You got some players, like Porzingis, when the heat got hot, he wanted out. Julius, he got a little bit of heat and he stepped up. So we got to give him the respect for that. He really did a nice job so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been trying to rally the troops on my end too, man, because I was one of those guys that I was willing to trade him, when during the Fizda era. Then when we got Mike Miller, I felt a little bit better about it. But once we got Obi Toppin, I was ready to get rid of him. So
Right.
I was among that group. A lot of us were. But just we have to give him his roses when he needs it, when he deserves it, man. Because he's what 23, 11, 5. It's incredible, man.
Crazy. All-star level. He's carrying us. Without him, we probably win 5, 6 games right now. So you got to give him the credit. I really think that management, they probably even didn't think that he was going to be this good this year, because why would you draft Obi Toppin at his position if you thought that he was really going to be this type of player. So, I think everybody's surprised by it, but you can never have enough good players, especially a team like us that we coming from the bottom. So, it's a nice problem to have. We just got to figure out how we can develop Obi in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like you made that connection too with Kristaps. New York is not for everybody. Kristaps definitely fizzled under that spotlight. He kind of wanted too much attention, undeserving attention. And Julius Randle, here it is. He came here, through his, he wanted to come here, and then
Right.
we pulled him through the coals, and he came out a diamond. So that's great stuff. So how was yesterday? That's like I was just so curious because I had the opportunity to get tickets. I was gonna get two, but I was just
Mhm.
I was about to push send to to buy the tickets and stuff. But I'm just thinking about the COVID test and this other stuff, and I wasn't really sure how the experience would be. So I had a little anxiety about it. So I just
Yeah.
didn't go fully with it, man. So how was the experience with that first game after this whole COVID stuff?
Actually, the experience was relatively easy. I mean, the hardest part was to me was going through the COVID test, scheduling it, and then going through with that. And the Knicks, they made it easy. They sent out a link to where they sent you to a place where you could go conveniently through Northwell Health. So I was able to get the test there 72 hours before the game. And as far as like once we got to the guard, you just had to submit that you were negative, and then you had to take a brief health survey, a few questions, and after that, when we were in the building, it really wasn't that bad because 2,000 people in a 20,000 seat arena is really nothing. I mean, it was so spread out. It was like, nobody was nowhere near me, so I felt really comfortable with that because normally I work in a setting. I'm an essential worker and I work in a supermarket. I'm a manager in a supermarket. And I counter a lot of people in close proximity daily. So for me, I've been working during this whole pandemic, using the protocols, wearing a mask, washing my hands, keeping social distance. And I really, never got sick. So I know that, if you do the right thing, that we will be fine. So it turned out it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what's going to be one of my other questions is that how did you do during the pandemic? And obviously you did well. I work for the city as well, so just trying to be mindful of being around people, touching things, touching your face, keeping your hands clean, keeping your areas clean. Just trying to communicate with your coworkers and things like that. That's all stuff that we need to do. But I'm watching from TV and I see the fans. It did look comfortable, man. Everybody was just chilling. They had
Yeah,
a bunch of seats.
yeah.
They did show you too. They showed you briefly a little bit, man. So
They did
that,
that? Really? Yeah,
yeah, I
I
felt
didn't see that. I mean,
well.
maybe yeah.
They didn't really zoom in on you, but I can like when they pan out, you can kind of see.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was dope, man.
Yeah, it was cool though that they acknowledged the fans. The fans is the lifeblood of the team. And they did a really nice job of welcoming the fans back to the arena last night, which was pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Did you guys get anything free? That's the one thing I,
Yeah,
I
we got
wanted, man. I love free
t-shirts, man.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got some t-shirts. So that was pretty cool. I thought they was gonna give us masks. I thought that would have been like the perfect gift to give everybody a Knick mask, especially with everything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the next few games, maybe that's what they have that plan. But usually on a home opener, they usually give you a cap or a t-shirt. So they gave us a nice blue New York Forever Knick t-shirt, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. But people, man. Like if they gave masks, those masks would have been all over the floor, and then that would have just been that would have
Yeah,
been a big thing.
yeah, that could have got ugly.
Yeah, it's just like we try to keep everything.
Especially if it
Yeah.
was a blowout.
Oh yeah. Oh man, if they threw the mask and stuff at the oh man, that would have been a bad scene. But that's definitely something that you see in the streets when you get out your car. You see masks, people just taking their
Yeah,
masks and
yeah,
throwing them
yeah,
in the
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, people are crazy, man.
Little incidentals like that. Sometimes people, they take for granted. But I would hope that in the trying times that we living in right now, that's an essential. That people would take the proper care. But you never know.
Yeah, man, you would hope so, man. Especially the New Yorkers. New Yorkers kind of know a little bit better than most people in this country or whatever, you know. But I mean, tell me about these posters in the building, man. Because I want to bring it back to when I first met you. When I first met you, the first thing before I saw you physically, going towards the suites, because we all were hanging out in those suites back there. I
Yeah,
walked past a big picture of you. Yeah, so I'm like,
yeah.
oh snap, they go Greg right there. So I mean, how did that come about?
Yeah, basically that all came about from I do a lot of posting on Instagram, on social media, and a lot of the people that I guess work for Bud Light, they were looking for some really diehard fans that they could promote, to show the energy of the fans, and how they really represent the team. So I was contacted with a representative from Bud Light, and he asked me if I was interested in doing the campaign. And I was like, for real? I was like, you. I thought they were joking at first, and he was like, yeah, we seen the stuff that you put out there. We know you're a real diehard fan. We like you to represent the Knicks and represent us. So that's how it came about. And then on top of that, when I found out that they were willing to pay me to do it, that was just gravy. Because to be honest with you, I would have done it for free.
Word up.
I mean, you just have my
Especially for
have,
beer too, right? I
have
love Bud Light.
yeah, have my picture up on the wall in Madison Square Garden for all the fans to see. So it's really like opened up a lot of doors for me, like as far as like other fans noticing me, and connecting with some really good people. So it's really been kind of cool. Every time I walk into the building, I gotta pinch myself because I'm like, this can't be real.
Yeah, but you deserve it, man. Because I mean, like 28 years is a long time, to devote like just not just your time and effort to come to see the games and stuff, just to actually get the capital, to hand it over every single year to give it, to the franchise, man. So like to finally get that type of just like kudos and just like people actually, care about you, man. That is just incredible, man.
Yeah, that is true. That the fact that the recognition, to get that kind of recognition is kind of cool. Because when I first joined on as a season ticket holder in the '90s, everything was good. During that era. But then once we got to 2000, it got stale, and I kind of just stayed loyal and just stayed with the team. So I guess that's a little bit of a payback for staying loyal.
Yeah, but I mean, you came in 1993. That was like the peak, man. If I
90,
if I
no, no,
can,
I came in 91, 92.
oh my God, even that's even better. That's like what's
That's
let's
Riley's
pull that
first
up.
year. That was
Oh,
Riley's
Riley's
first
first
year.
year.
Yeah, when Pat Riley, when he announced that he was going to be the coach of the Knicks, that's exactly when I called up. I was like, wow, right, we getting Riley. I was like, oh man, I got to get in on this. So I called the Garden and I was like, I want to get some season tickets. So they were like, we're all sold out right now because everybody's calling up today, and we don't have any more season tickets. But then the lady, she said, wait a minute, let me just check something out. I think we just got a cancellation. So she looked at her computer and she said, well, actually, I have two seats right here in section 338. I don't know if you want it. I mean, if you want, you could look and see if you want it. And, she told me that, they were $24 a seat back then.
Right.
And, but for me, that was a lot of money. But I was like, yeah, let me get them. Let me get them. And the rest was history. I was there for the ride. What a great ride it was.
I'm telling you, that was like this was they just came off. I'm looking at I know you can see it as well. They
Yeah,
just came off of a losing record on 39-43. They
right.
did make the playoffs though. This is like what
Yeah,
era was that?
Chicago. They lost to Chicago. I had a mini plan the year before. I had about 10, 15 games with a friend of mine. And that was the year that they lost to the Bulls in the first round. And Jordan, he dunked on Ewing on the baseline. He faked out Oakley and he went on the baseline and he had a slam. I'll never forget that. But yeah, so I got in right when they were about to turn to get good.
Oh, you're lucky, man. You're lucky. But so, I mean, I'm looking at it. I've always wanted season tickets, man. But it's always a financial thing, man. So it's like a dream to just even even to think about that. And then you get on it right at the time of Pat Riley. So how lucky are you, man?
Yeah. It was pretty cool because that was the year that they picked up Xavier McDaniel. They picked him up as a free agent, and that was the year that we had Oakley, we had Starks, we had they picked up Starks. They had all those guys. Ewing was starting to get frustrated because he wanted to win. So it was a point where getting Riley help Ewing, stay on the team because I heard he was actually looking to leave the team at that point because he was frustrated because he wasn't winning.
Right.
But yeah, it was nice.
Well, Patrick, during that time, the Knicks were just trying to find small forwards and stuff. We got Kiki Vanderweer at one point, Johnny Newman, all these different guys, and then we got Xavier McDaniel. But then we only had him for 1 year. So, like as a Knicks fan during that time, just trying to get Ewing some help because, like you said, Ewing almost wanted out of there. His
Right.
money was coming. So like as a Knicks fan, what was going through your head during that time? It's like, oh man, we had a point where we could possibly lose our franchise guy just because we can't get him any help. What was the thought
Yeah,
around
it
that?
was it was it was frustrating because you hope that management that they would make the right moves to put the pieces around him. I mean, we were lucky enough to get him in the lottery to get this number one overall pick, and when we drafted him, the thing was we were going to win a championship. It's like you get a guy like that, you put the pieces around him, and they had a couple of good years under Rick Pitino when they had the bomb squad. But then when he left, it went back the other way. So it was definitely some nervous energy around there about what they're going to do to rebuild the team. But once they got Pat Riley, he had the credibility from being with the Lakers. You kind of felt that he would be able to turn things around.
So he actually did that year. He had Patrick Ewing, Mark Jackson, Xavier McDaniel, Joe Wilkins, Charles Oakley, Mason just started coming around. John Stark started coming around. We had drafted Greg Anthony. We still had
Right,
Kiki on the squad too. But
right.
right after that year, that's when we made that big trade when we traded Mark Jackson to the Clippers and we got Doc Rivers and those guys.
Charles Smith.
Charles Smith came along. So during that transition, I'm a little younger than you, man, but I remember being hot about that, just
Yeah, me too.
because because that team was just like to me that Xavier McDaniel team with Gerald Wilkins and all that. I feel like those guys were like the embodiment of a Knicks team.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, in the playoffs that year, they took the Bulls to 7 games, and Xavier McDaniel he did a great job on Scottie Pippen. You had Xavier McDaniel and you had Mason. You had the two of them, that was guarding Pippen, and they were beating the heck out of him. And
Yeah,
they really intimidated him in that series. So after that year, I was hoping that they would run it back. I thought we had a good enough team that we could beat them. And then with Xavier McDaniel, he became a free agent, and they kept him out there too long without signing him to a contract, and he was worried about getting his next job. So I guess he had to do what he had to do when he signed with Boston. But that was really frustrating at the time because I really liked him and the contribution that he made to the team, and we were turning into this tough. He was part of that persona, that rugged Knicks tough team. So that was frustrating that he left.
yeah. Isn't that just like the story of the Knicks though? Every time we're doing well, we have something that seems like it's going well, where we should maybe try to build what we have. We tend to make trades for no reason and start over and then causing a whole nother problem. And as a season ticket holder, now you're invested like like I said, your time and your money now. Was it a little bit different now? Your fandom or just your perspective on things?
Oh nah, I mean we still had a squad, you know what I mean. So I mean the fact that it was a little bit of a downer that they let Xavier McDaniel go, but they brought in Doc Rivers, who was a good veteran. I mean even though we let Mark go, who was a hometown hero, and Charles Smith, I mean he seemed like he was a little soft, that he didn't fit that tough guy, persona that we was building, but he was a really talented player. He had scored 50 points in the game with the Clippers, and he was starting to come into his own. So I was really still excited that we definitely had enough talent to win a championship.
Yeah, every time somebody talk bad about Charles Smith, that's the thing with Knicks fans. We defend our players so much, so that's one of the first things I would say. But he scored 50 points. I think he did it twice. I think in the Clippers, 50 points,
Yeah,
man.
man. Yeah. He had definitely had the talent. He goes down in infamy for the, missing, didn't dunk that ball in the 92-93 playoffs against the Bulls, you know, in that game. But that was unfortunate that, he didn't just go up and dunk it. And I have to admit, I was mad at him too for that. But overall, he was a good guy. He had some knee troubles, so he wasn't really 100%. A lot of people don't know when he was with the team, so that probably maybe contributed to he not maybe having the lift. But he was along for the ride. We had some good runs with him on the team.
Yeah, he also was playing small forward too, so they was playing him out of position.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, so just that's that whole thing with that. I actually met Charles Smith one time. We was standing at the street light, of all places, man. We was right outside of the garden, right on 33rd and 8th Avenue. So I just happened to look up at him, and I'm like, who? This guy's tall, right? But then once it dawned on me that this was Charles Smith, I must have gave him like a gaze, where he was looking. He looked down at me now, like, yo, what's he about to do? But I had on like, I actually had on this hat. I had on like a hat like this. So right off the bat, he knows I'm a Knicks fan, right?
Original logo.
Yeah. He knows I'm a Knicks fan. He looking at the hat and stuff. So as I'm staring at him, he's like, "Yo, man, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry." So like it just dawned on me. It was so funny that he knows what we say. He knows what.
He heard it all. He heard it all.
Did you ever meet him? Did you ever get to speak to him?
Yeah, I met him many times throughout the years. I remember when after that game, like years later, when the first time I met him, it was kind of awkward, because I didn't know what to say to him, I had a little bit of feelings inside, but I didn't really want to just come out and say anything bad to the guy. I'm sure that's not how he wanted it to go. Yeah. So over the years, after talking to him at a lot of Knick season ticket holder events, I got to, know him a little bit and said that, this guy is really cool. He's a good guy. So, I think as time went on, Knick fans kind of, lessened their hatred toward him.
Yeah. That's a unique experience you guys have as season ticket holders, because you guys actually get to touch these guys, see them, because they are human. But as a fan sitting behind the screen and when we used to watch Knicks games, I used to have the TV in our front yard. But mom didn't really like it too much, but she liked that the block was together, all the guys were together. So it was a safe spot. So we everybody's in the yard and stuff. So from that perspective, like I say, when Charles Smith couldn't make it, it's a lot of curse words being thrown and a lot of crazy stuff going on, man. So like stuff that we would say about him, we wouldn't say to his face, So like you guys have that unique experience that when you do meet him, now you're looking at him as a human and you can get that interaction. Was there anything like I wanted to ask you about some worst moments too? Like, is anything worse than that Charles Smith play to you?
Nah, that was it, man. I left the Garden in tears that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because that team, man, I thought was probably one of our best chances, to win a title. I mean, we were really I think we won 61 games that year, or high 50s.
Yeah.
So and that was a team that we should have won the title that year. So the fact that we wound up losing that series to the Bulls, it was really deflating. So I can remember when the horn sounded at the final buzzer, I can remember it felt like you could hear a pin drop in the Garden. That's how quiet it was, and it was just so sad. So that's like, I always tell people, that was like my worst memory, like doing those 90s runs. That and the Ewing finger roll.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The Ewing finger roll to me was the worst, man. Like, same thing. I'm a little older now, so same thing. We all out there, everybody was like, yes, he came down the lane, and then he slowed down like a half a second,
right?
Kind of, and then you could see him going up, and then like in your head, you're like, is he about to finger roll? Like you Patrick Ewing never finger rolled.
Right.
I never seen him. Yeah, he would throw it down, or at least he would go over the top. You know,
Right.
Ewing was always with the over the top, you know, kind of like shot that he used to do. But
Yeah.
coming around with like a finger roll, he never did that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. So were you? Was that a home game? That was a home game, right?
That was a home game against Indiana.
Were
Yeah.
you there?
Yeah. 95. I was there. I was there
Oh
for
my
that.
god.
I was there for the Starks dunk. On
Okay.
the flip side, yeah, I was there for that. I was there for the 4-point play. Larry
Nice.
Johnson. Yeah. So I had some good moments too. You know, I was there for the OJ game,
Oh my god. The
the
game that
night
nobody saw.
before. Yeah. That was crazy because they actually put it on the Garden Vision on center court with OJ in the Bronco
Oh wow.
for a while. Yeah, they put it up there and then they took it off. So that after that, everybody was wondering, "Yo, what's going on? Is this guy gonna blow his brains out?" So it was the Garden was crazy that day. You
Well,
know,
you speaking about blowing your brains out. As fans, I'm watching on TV. Like fans want to blow their brains out because it's like, yo, put the
yeah,
game
we
back
just the
on.
finals, put the game on, right? Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean
yeah,
they had OG on the screen just rolling with like no explanation on MSG, and then you click to every other channel. It was on every single channel. So during that time there was no social media, so we couldn't find out what the problem was. It was just watching a Bronco on the thing in the middle of the NBA Finals. That was crazy, man.
yeah. That was pre-social media days, so you didn't know what was going on, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's crazy, man. So I mean, the NBA Finals. So I mean that really that Charles Smith play was probably the worst one. You think?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I guess I could, I guess I could say, Starks like for a whole game, game 7 with Starks having that, nightmarish game, but that was just like one singular moment that Charles Smith played. So it was
Right.
like an instant, it was like like an instant feeling, but the fact that we got all the way to game 7 of the NBA finals and that was really our chance to win the title. That was really our best chance once we got to that point. And when Starks, he just didn't have it. And I was hoping that maybe Riley would like pull him out of the game for a few minutes, maybe give somebody else a chance. Or, you have Orlando Blackman on the bench, or maybe a Hubert Davis. And then maybe, later on you could go back to him. Maybe he just needed to settle down. But, unfortunately it didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, that era also we had Tony Campbell. Did you were you
Yep.
did you watch Tony Campbell at all as a player? Do you remember him?
Absolutely. Tony Campbell could score. He could
Yeah.
flat out score. Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't understand it. That was the vision of Pat Riley. Pat Riley went and got Charles Smith. He was a 20 point a game scorer before. He went and got Tony Campbell. He scored 20 points a game in Minnesota, like I think
Yep.
2 years before.
Yeah.
So when we got him, we didn't use him. So I just was like, yo, we got guys on the bench that could score. I just didn't really get why Pat Riley wasn't playing these guys. So
Defense.
yeah, defense. I got you.
He's like a Tibbs. You don't play defense, you're not seeing the court.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They're very very similar, very similar. Well, actually, he's a disciple, actually, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's where that comes from. It's like the tree, like the succession.
Yeah, that's one thing that this generation of Knicks fans don't really get. You have to know your past in order to get to the future. So there's a lot of people complaining about Elfrid Payton and all these different guys, but I mean, Tom Thibodeau's playing guys that he trusts. Guys play defense and stuff like that. Same thing like Pat Riley. So we got that lesson. Well, at least I got that lesson as a young man. Watching Pat Riley, I understood the just the thought process. Now I have that knowledge. So bringing it now into this Tom Thibodeau era, it's not as bad for me as some of these young fans are.
Yep, absolutely. You saw it firsthand. So you know the deal, and so far Tibbs is doing great. I mean, he turned us into a top 3, top 5 defense and literally like what 1 year since he just got here, So I mean, he's doing a tremendous job. I mean, now the challenge is to fix the offense to maybe get a few more players that could get us to scoring a little bit more on offense, but the first thing to being a really good team is to having a good defense. So, at least, that could be the identity that this team has. Cause for the last, however many years, we haven't really had an identity. So it's good to see, it's always good to be able to hang your hat on the defensive end. So,
Yeah,
that's really
absolutely.
good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the
We,
Nick
we
way.
It's the Nick way. I want to talk a little bit about pre 1991 and stuff, but I just want to bring up that 1991 season. We like I said, we had Gerald Wilkins and these guys and whatever. So we had an identity, So like the Knicks changed the identity. We got Charles Smith, whatever. We still kept the defense, but it just changed the dynamic of the team. So going forward, we always was in play with that. Even when we got the '99 team, we changed the players, but we end up, that was a whole mix up. But right after that, we didn't capitalize on our good fortune. We just got rid of everybody, got Scott Layden in here, and then that started the dominoes to get to where we are now. So we in the same spot right now. We got a team similar to that '91 team where we have like a nice group of guys together where we have a chance to build. But like fans today, they're ready to trade everybody again now to get, trade Julius Randle for first, for a bunch of first round draft picks, and trade this guy for that, and stockpile stuff so we can get another guy later. Like, we got to live in the moment.
Exactly. You can't keep just turning over the roster. You need some continuity. Especially when you have guys like Julius who's performing at an all-star level. What to me, why would you want to get rid of a guy like that? We haven't had a lot of talent on the roster, so you can't keep trying to trade and get more and more draft picks. So it comes to a point where you gotta stick with the guys you got and just keep building and add into that core. So I think for me, I think Julius, at the short term, he has a option for next year. They need to pick that option up, and that'll give them some more time to see if he's legit. And if he continues to play like he's playing now, I see no reason why you would want to trade him.
Right. Well, you see a lot of games, man. So, like, who do you think? Is there anybody out there on your mind that you think the Knicks could get or should get, to help us, get to the next stage?
Um, yeah, it's tough. I think that we need some shooting. I mean, I don't really, know who's available. I know the free agent market for next year is really not that great from what I've been seeing. I'm just leery about them making that trade for Bradley Beal, where they throw all their assets at one star and then we're back to square one again. I don't want them to do that kind of trade. If they could make incremental trade to get a shooter like a Buddy Hield, or that type of player, somebody that's not going to cost as much, as a superstar, where you got to give up 3 number 1 draft picks, 2 pick swaps, RJ, Mitch. I'm like, if you got to give up all of that, then what kind of team you going to have left on your roster?
Right. That pick swap is a new thing now. People that's like the new thing. Everybody say, oh, yeah, we could swap picks now. It's like, oh my god, you guys watch too much ESPN for me, man. Yeah. So well, I guess we can get into '91. We can bring it back to the current time again. But like pre '91, like uh just tell me like some of the things that like I guess start from the beginning. Like what made you a Knicks fan?
Well, as I was, I had said when I filmed the commercial for MSG, when I was 8 years old, my brother, he was a big Knicks fan, and we had shared a room together. And back then, Walt Frazier was the king of New York. I mean, he had his Pumas, and the fashion and everything. And Clyde was the man. So my brother, he, we had all these posters around the room of Walt Frazier. Like the Puma. Back then posters were huge. So that's when I became a Knicks fan. And I used to watch the games on Channel 9. That's when they used to have, when Marv Albert and them, they used to do the games. And, they had a great team back then. They were in that championship era, and you had Phil Jackson coming off the bench, playing defense, with his long arms. He was a part of the team. And then you had Dean Meminger, who was a New Yorker. He was on that team. And that's when they got Earl Monroe to pair him with Walt Frazier, and that they became the Rolls Royce backcourt. But, that was like the beginning for me, So I'm really too young for the first championship. Like I was 5 years old at that time, So I really don't remember too much about that. But the 73 team, I remember that team. And then from there, I kept watching them from there. That's when I became a fan.
That's great, man. For me, like I was about the age, 4 or 5 when Bernard King came along. So that's my guy, Bernard King. That's where I start my chronological Knicks fandom there. So in between Bernard King and that era, there's one thing I want to ask, like guys older than me that
Hmm.
remember, because some right before Bernard King and right after Clyde and those guys, it was the Bob McAdoo era. Can
Yeah,
you can you put some insight onto that? Because I mean,
absolutely.
Bob McAdoo was he was like top 5 NBA basketball player, maybe even top 3 at the time, right? Would you
Absolutely.
say that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And
how did we we got him and then we traded him. If you look on basketball reference or look up the trade, we traded him for a bunch of guys that I can't even find on basketball reference. So what was going on during that time, if you remember?
yeah, I remember what was going on at that time. It was funny because Bob McAdoo, he won 3 consecutive scoring titles with the Buffalo Braves. And
Right.
he was like a big man of a modern big man of today, where he could step out and shoot a 15, 20 footer. He was like a stretch four. He was like a stretch big, before it became popular back then. But when they got Bob McAdoo, I was excited. I thought we was going to win a championship. I mean, he was an elite scorer. He was like the premier big man scorer in the league. And they paired him with Spencer Haywood, who was also another, a star who became a Hall of Famer, in his career. And they had the two of them together. And it was like, wow, we got these two offensive. The both of them were played the same position. So I think the chemistry between the two of them was off, you know, but it was frustrating that they couldn't win. You had some of the players from the old championship team still on the team. You had Frazier, you had Monroe, you had Bill Bradley that was still on the team, and then you had these dynamic scorers. But the thing was, those guys were not used to playing the way the old Knicks played, passing the ball, move, just continue motion. They were a little bit more, shot hungry. So I think that threw the chemistry off, and that's why they didn't win.
That's crazy, man. But I just don't. I'm looking at the stats now, man. You talk about Monroe was still kind of Monroe, 17 points a game. Lonnie Shelton was playing a little bit. Lonnie Shelton was all right for a minute. Spencer
Yeah, yeah,
Haywood, like you said, Butch Beard was there. Toby Knight. Toby Knight had a little shine too. I think the next season, he scored like 16 or something. I forgot.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Left-handed, yeah,
yeah, all these different guys. I just
yeah,
looking back, like I always
yeah.
wanted to know what was going on during that time. So
It was a
I guess
chemistry issue. Yeah, it was a chemistry issue. You had the championship guys that knew how to play one way to win, and McAdoo and Hayward. Those guys were just scorers. All they wanted to do was just score the ball. So it was funny. I met Spencer Hayward at the Garden years later, and I asked him that same question. I was like, "Yo, Spencer, man, what happened between you and McAdoo? When we got you guys, I thought for sure we was gonna win a title. What happened?" He told me, man, Bob McAdoo wouldn't pass me the ball.
I mean that's like understatement, I guess, man. Bob McAdoo was shooting that ball, man,
Yeah,
big time.
yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I
but
always
let me
wanted.
let me just add something real quick on Bernard. Bernard was my guy. That was one of the other guys that I spoke about in the commercial. Was because when Bernard was here in 83, 84, when he had that great season, I was in high school. And I used to buy tickets for $6 up in the blue seats. We used to have our student geo card where you through school you get discounts
Yeah,
and you could buy tickets. We used to buy Nick tickets for $6, and we used to go down and sit up in the blue seats. And Bernard was just unbelievable, man. He's my favorite Nick. He was unstoppable with his array of post moves and his quick release. And on the fast break, he was doing Euro steps before they were even Euro steps back then. He was just a force. He was just unstoppable. And for back then, my only regret was that he got hurt And then when he came back, we drafted Ewing, but the two of them never really got to play together. I think if we could have had the two of them together, maybe we could have had the two superstars that we needed to build a team to win a championship.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever cried as a Knicks fan. Of course, I was a young, like I said, I was a young guy, but I remember when they traded him, I just didn't understand it. My dad was trying to tell me, and I remember crying because Bernard King was a superhero, man.
Yeah, man.
So he was a beast, right?
That 84 playoffs was amazing. That series against the Pistons, when
Yeah,
him and Isiah Thomas, when they was going back and forth, that was an epic. That was an epic series.
yeah. Also, too, I think didn't they sweep Boston 1 year
Yeah,
too? But
yeah. They took Boston to 7 games. They lost. But
okay,
yeah, that was a hell of a. I mean, back then, Larry Bird, McHale and them boys, that was a battle. That was a war.
yeah.
So yeah,
The MVP battle was crazy too. Bernard King and Larry
yeah,
Bird.
yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
Bernard
man.
Bernard should have got it that year, man. They jobbed him.
Yeah. Well, as the story goes, Bernard said that they actually did play together, but only in practice. They practiced, I think, like a couple times, but then Ewing got hurt, so they never
Yeah,
actually played. And then,
yeah.
I actually looked up the last game that Bernard played as a Knick. I think he
Mhm.
scored like 36 or something, and Gerald Wilkins scored 30 something too. So that's another point in the history. Is like, why didn't we keep Bernard if his last game of his Knick career he scored like 30 something points with your young boy Gerald
Yeah,
Wilkins?
yeah. I think that had a lot to do with Rick Pitino. He came on as the coach, and Rick Pitino, he wanted to play a more up tempo style, and
Ugh.
that's when he used to he trap on the defense, and they would run, get out and run and shoot the threes, on offense, and he felt that Bernard coming off the knee injury that he wouldn't be able to sustain playing that type of running gun type of style. So I think that has something to do with it, and just the fact that they didn't trust his knee. Come back then, when you got an ACL, that was like a death sentence. That wasn't
Yeah.
like today. You get an ACL, and you come back and you're good. You make it to an All-Star. It's no big thing. But back then, it was like nobody knew whether he would be able to regain his form. So I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I think he might have been one of the first athletes too to actually get the arthroscopic surgery where they go through, through the bone and connect
Yeah,
the ACL that way. I think he was
yeah,
one of the first guys to go through that surgery. So, I guess so. But I mean, it still hurts, man. When you saw Bernard King make that All Star game, with the bullets,
in
man, that that
Washington. Yeah,
that killed me, man.
yeah, man. Yep.
So
He
it's
still
a lot
had
of what ifs. Mhm.
he had a lot left in the tank. They didn't believe in him. I don't know why. I mean, because he was a determined man. He was, he always, gave his all. And he said he was going to come back. He said it when he was out. He was working hard to come back.
Yeah, somebody with that ice grill, that Brooklyn ice grill, man. Once they give you that look, man, you gotta believe it, man. So, that's just like it's a spilled milk, man. So many different, eras or whatever. But I mean, if you can think about like an era, like say let's keep it positive, just like your favorite era. Just it doesn't have to be like moments where they won or anything, but just like a team or like a group of players or something that you just like you just love watching those guys. Is there like a group like that?
Yeah, I used to like the when they finally came out of the McAdoo era, when they traded McAdoo and Haywood, they went into an era like right around 1980, 81. And that's when they had Michael Ray Richardson, and they had Bill Cartwright and Ray Williams. When they had those three young guys, and that was when they really finally committed to a rebuild coming out of the championship years. Because when they first came out of the championship years, they tried to do patchwork. Let's plug this guy in. Let's plug this star in. Let's plug another one in, and it never worked. When they finally stripped it down in 1980, and when they had Michael Ray Richardson, that boy was bad.
Yeah, he was
Him and
bad.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, we know what happened. He had the drug problems, but him and Ray Williams, they were talking about those guys, on the same level as Magic Johnson and Norm Nixon. That was the best backcourt in the West. So that's how good the potential that those two guys had. And Cartwright was a beast in the low post.
Yeah,
Cartwright, his numbers scoring. If you look at his rookie numbers, and he was putting up, later on in his career when he was with the Bulls, he didn't really score that much. But early in his years with the Knicks, he was an offensive force.
yeah, he was like 20 and 10, just about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that
That,
was
that's
a
a
that was a fun time.
Yeah, that's a lot of history that people forget. That's another era I want to ask you about too. The
Yeah,
Cartwright era, Ray Williams, and all this, because these are different pockets of time that people forget about. So I mean, like like say like the Knicks. The Knicks do a great job now. Trying to give back through social media. Like I said, giving you opportunities to put like fans like yourself up on the pedestal because you guys deserve to be there. You got the fans are the ones that are the lifeblood. We remember everything, man. So the next step will be just to get insight on what fans remember, stuff like that. Like
they need to
I
do
want to
more of that.
see, yeah, I want to see, what way these guys are. I want to see old games of those guys. I don't need to keep seeing the '99 game. I don't need to keep seeing the '94 stuff. All in the Melo era is killing me. That like 2 years that we were in the playoffs, 3 years or so. That kills me. They keep showing us stuff, but there's so much history. It's almost like hip hop. There's like they keep playing the same 5 songs throughout history, but there's like so much history of music that but there's so much music you could pull from.
Yeah, I don't
So
get it. I think that they try to cater to the young audience, and they think that the young audience doesn't really care about that history. Like, so, like, some young guys, they don't. So I think that's why they don't go back too deep. But it's a shame because there's a lot of great eras in Knick basketball and a lot of guys that came through the pipe that I think fans would appreciate if they knew more about them. Or
yeah,
different seasons, or different, like you said, different eras. Or even like the Bomb Squad. I mean, they do talk about that here and there. But that was a fun team. When you had Gerald Wilkins, you had Mark Jackson, you had Johnny Newman. You had all those guys, and they were shooting all them threes. Money Mark. That was a great team.
yeah, it was a good team. We had a lot of good teams, man. I think I want to say that squad and maybe just the Xavier McDaniel team. Those are my teams that I just enjoy watching those guys play, man. That was fun. There was a couple of Isaiah teams that on the low I kind of like too. Just even though even though we were losing.
Yeah,
So like
on the
can you
low.
talk about that? Because you were there. You were there for all
Yeah.
the era, watching those players and stuff. Were there any high points? Watching those guys play.
Well, yeah, there was high points. I mean, Isaiah actually, to me, I think he got a bad rap. I mean, because a lot of those players, when they left and went other places, they had successful careers. When you look at Jamal Crawford, what kind of career he had. When you look at Zach Randolph, when he went to Memphis, he was able to succeed. Trevor Ariza, he stuck around the league forever. David Lee. David Lee had a nice career, made a lot of money, double machine. It's unfortunate, a couple of his trades, just blew everything up. Eddie Curry, unfortunately, he was going through a lot mentally that we didn't know at the time.
Right.
Unfortunately, that sunk him. And the Jerome James trade, which turned out to be a disaster for the team.
Big
But
snacks, man.
yeah, exactly. But as far as like the talent that he brought to the team, he brought so much talent to the team compared to when Scott Layden was there. The only problem was the talent didn't mesh. You had Stephon Marbury, who we know was 20 and 10, 20 points, 10 assists perennially in the league. You had Crawford, you had Zebo, but somehow they just couldn't, they couldn't, coaching couldn't mesh it and get it functioning together.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. But I don't totally knock Isaiah. Like some fans are just like totally anti Isaiah. But I understand that, I mean, he had his, ups and downs, but he did some good things for the franchise.
Yeah. The one person I wanna make sure that everyone understands that needs to get all the flame is Scott Layden. If it wasn't for Scott Layden, we wouldn't even need Isaiah. And
Right,
Isaiah,
exactly.
yeah, that first move that he made, he had to get rid of Keith Van Horn and Doliak, and he made that into Tim Thomas and Nazir Muhammad. Isaiah Thomas was doing a lot of things, at least trying,
Yeah,
to get talent here.
yeah. I don't know about the Keith Van Horn one though. I kind of liked that him and Marbury, they had a nice thing going with the pick and roll. they had a nice connection going. You know, I was like, I think he started making too many trades. At one point, he was like, dude, slow down. You know,
Yeah.
we got like a little thing. We got something. It looks like it's starting to. It looked like, you know, it's starting to work out a little bit. You know, but he was, you know, he was tinkering. He was trying to, you know, he was trying to get as much talent because those Scott Layden teams, they were brutal, man. When you had Clarence Weatherspoon and Howard Isley, when he brought on his boys from Utah, you
Yeah,
know.
Shannon Anderson. He got those guys in 4-team trades, man. You know who does 4-team trades? You know, like I did a podcast. That podcast is like hard to watch because you can see me about to like lose my stuff right on the camera. But all I'm doing is reading off what he did, and that it was just incredible that the stuff that he did. He did 2 4-team trades and 1 3-team
Damn,
trade.
I didn't even realize that. 2 14 trades? That's kind of hard to do,
Yeah, he
you know?
did a 14 trade right before he got fired. You know, so
Yeah,
somebody could say, stop, you know, no more, you know.
yeah. That
Yeah,
was
it's crazy.
you know. And then the McDice trade, you know, that was something that blew up in our face.
Yeah.
You know, we had Marcus Camby, you know, draft pick, and we wound up, you know, giving him up in that deal. And you know, and McDice gets hurt in a preseason game.
Yeah.
And yep, he was never the same after that.
You know, we traded for McDice, but you know, we drafted Nene, but Amari Stoudemire was in
Right,
that
Nene.
draft.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Amari Stoudemire was in that draft.
Oh man. Yeah.
It just gets worse, man. The more you start unpeeling the history stuff, it just gets crazy, man. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I got you here, man. So I'm happy, man. It's always great to talk to a good Knicks fan, man. You know, somebody that's just knowledgeable and just a good dude, man. I can't emphasize that enough. Everybody can see it, man. That's you know that's one reason why I want you here because I want people to see how good of a dude you are, man. Just great to have you on.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, you're doing a nice thing here. You know, I like the you know, the podcast. You know, they just, you know, what you're doing. You know, to get fans, you know, involved and, you know, bring content to fans. So, you know, keep it up, man. It's really cool what you're doing as well.
Yeah. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. It's all about just having a different voice. You know, same thing like TV. Everybody changes the channel and watches whatever they want to watch. So, you know, there's a million Knicks podcasts out there, but most of us are pretty cool with each other. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So yeah,
that's
so
good.
guys could that's what's up.
Yeah,
You know, that's one thing about Knicks fans. We are like real true diehard Knicks fans. We all stick together.
yeah. So you're gonna be going to some games here or there? Or are you gonna be able to, you know, try to, or are
Uh,
you gonna wait it out until you know, maybe next season when the pandemic is behind us? What are you thinking as far as that?
well, they just released the second half of the season this like today. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna look through those, and I'll probably go to a couple of games
yeah,
in that new second half.
yeah. I think you'd be fine. The way it's all spread out, you know, I felt very comfortable. I felt very safe, you know, and I can imagine once more and more people start taking the vaccine, the caseloads start going down. And right now in New York, they're really doing really well as far as the infection rate. So, you know, hopefully, you know, we're on the road to get rid of this thing or get it under control.
Yeah,
You
people
know,
get it, man. You know, I think
yeah.
I think it's the Knicks fans. The Knicks fans out there are the ones that are keeping the city together. Because we the only ones that been out there, you know, especially us content creators. We were making content this whole time and nonstop every week,
Thank
almost
you.
every other day, man. It's
Man, I
crazy.
don't know what I would have did without you guys, man. Because, you know, I mean, you're sitting home, you know. All right, you know, there's only so much TV you can watch. You know, you want to, you know, know about your team. You want to know what's going on. So, you know, you guys kept us going.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, you know, I'm gonna try to get to a game. So if I do, I'll hit you up, man, because I would love to give you some, maybe a Die Knicks hat or something, or just to give you a pound. You know what I'm saying? Just to show my appreciation, just show love like that. You know?
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt, man. We're gonna get, you know, one thing I say about Knick fans, like we're loyal, obviously. If we're willing to, you know, stay with this team after everything we've been through. But, you know, there's like a special kinship among Knick fans, like they stick together, you know. So that's one thing that I always appreciate. Like a lot of times, like before the pandemic, I would travel and do a lot of road trips. You know, I've been to, you know, games in Staples Center in LA. I've been to games in Dallas, Houston, and no matter where you go, you always find Knick fans. That's the one good. That's the one thing. We travel, and all Knick fans are like, they're like brothers. They stick together.
Yeah. It's like Poetic Justice with Tupac. He was like, cousin, when you see a Knick fan, it's literally like that, man. I actually saw a guy today. He had on the same hat and whatever, and we just kind of we exchanged pleasantries with each other. I don't know the guy from nothing. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
I get
good.
excited. I get excited when I see Knick fans. Like I was telling you, I work in a supermarket, so every now and then somebody will come in and I have some Knick gear on, and right away I just go up to them and start talking to them. Sometimes they look at me like, "What's up with this dude?" And then when they realize I'm diehard Knick fan like them, then we good.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times that like you'll shout like it's an awkwardness because like you're happy to see them, so you're like when you're trying to say something that would attract to get them to break that ice, but you
Right.
don't want to come off too crazy. It's
Right.
a
Right.
weird thing, but I feel like every Knicks fan has that same experience.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, I'm just excited, the way the team is, this season. It looks like we're heading in the right direction. We got a ton of assets. We got a lot of draft picks. Dallas looks like they may not make the playoffs. That could turn out to be a lottery pick for us. We got cap space. We still got money to spend going into the off season. So there's a lot of good things happening right now. So far, Leon Rose, he's doing a really good job. So we just gotta be patient and let's see what we can do over the off season or what moves they're gonna make during the trade deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. The Knicks are moving up like Bitcoin right now.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so hopefully we're entering well, we're in it now, but hopefully we really get into that spot where we're like every year in the playoffs and grinding out trying to get, we're in the next era, hopefully.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. It's been long enough. It's been
Yeah.
long enough.
All right, so I got you here, man. So is anything what you want to convey to the fans or just anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Nah, I just wanted to say that you guys, you can find me on Twitter at Gregory Armstrong 00001. And you can also find me on Instagram, and it's G Strong, GSTR, the number, not the letter, number 0 NG on Instagram. I usually, when I go to the games, I usually post a lot of pictures and my interactions with players, and all of the stuff that I do around the garden, so that the fans that can't go to the games, so they could get an idea of a lot of stuff that's going on.
Yeah. So one of the pictures I think you posted on Instagram, I think that's what I saw, like showing you laid out, whatever. That was actually one of your pictures, you know what I'm saying? So please do that, because you give another inside kind of thing what's going on with the garden and stuff.
Yep, that's what I
Yeah,
try to
definitely.
do.
Yeah, man. We all in the same place, man. So, yo, Greg, Mr. Armstrong, to you young folks out there, you know what I'm saying?
Greg is good. Greg is cool.
Yeah. Yo, give praise due to this man here, man. Thank you for coming on the show. And I gotta try to get you on here again, man. We could talk about some other stuff going on with Knicks land.
Yeah, man. Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, no doubt, man. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is DIEHARD Knick's podcast. See you guys on the next one. Peace.